Hi, I wanted to welcome you to the Divorce Planning Podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and I'm in the mortgage business, and I do planning pre-divorce for people who are either going to refinance their home, do an equity buyout, or plan to purchase a new home and make sure that everything in the divorce decree is worded properly and the numbers in the planning is taken care of so that you can go through the underwriting process smoothly. And I would like to introduce you to other people who are interested in the divorce planning process so you can get a real education of what's involved. Hope you enjoy. Let's end with, because I know this is a confusing thing also for both of us.
Yeah.
Somebody hiring you and when and how you get paid. So does somebody pay for all this extra experience, or do they have to give you money up front? Because I think a lot of people think, oh my God, I just spent so much money on divorce attorneys and financial people and all this stuff, and now I have to pay a realtor because they specialize in divorce. So can you debunk the myth?
Sure, absolutely. So as a realtor, when I'm working with a seller, I get paid when this sale happens. So all of my expertise and my time, I invest into you and into your property in order to help you maximize the sales price. And then I am paid a percentage commission, which is negotiable. That's a big issue right now in the news. That is always a negotiable. There's some standards and recommended amounts, but that's a negotiable amount. When it comes to more specialized training, I do that on my own and really just to serve my clients, to best serve my clients. I feel like it gives me an edge. I feel like it gives them better representation. And so I do it. My hope is that it will allow me to represent more and more people and to really become the go-to person in my market for divorce, because I will say I do handle it very well. I think that's the part. It's a very difficult, touchy topic, but I handle it well. And so I get paid at the closing. I get paid when the house sells. I get paid based on that listing contract and listing agreement. So all that time and energy and attention that I give is not an extra cost. I will add this, however, I've come across situations where the way that divorce decrees are written and the ways that attorneys will nuance things into decrees often requires additional work of title companies. And it can be extremely taxing on title companies. And I think if you were to ask any attorney, do you get paid for your time? They'd say 100%. They bill for every second of their time. So I think there is a level of a la carte services that sellers should expect. They may have to pay a little extra for. I mean, working with that title company, with the one deal that we did, I think she asked for like a nominal fee of $300 to $500 because it was like a whole half day's work or a whole day's work for her. She had to sift through the decree. She had to sift through the credit card statement. She had to contact the credit card companies to find out what was the actual amount currently owed to put that on there. So I think for people to think, oh, this is all included and it's free when it's that much extra work, there is a level of expectation. There could be a little bit of an extra cost, but for me as a realtor, all that I do and all that guidance I give is part of the sale price, part of the commission that they pay me when the house sells.
What about if you're working with a buyer?
When I'm working with a buyer, with my buyers, I sign buyer contracts. So in that contract, it specifies my payment. There's several different ways that we get paid. It can be a flat fee. It can be a commission. It can be a percentage of, different percentages. But I typically work as a commission based. In my contract, it states that they'll pay me a certain commission and the buyer pays that. However, if the seller is offering a cooperative payment, that's credited to the buyer. So currently in Michigan, the industry standard, which is the average standard, is 6%. The seller pays a 6% commission to their real estate broker. If the seller wants that listing on the MLS, they agree with the MLS terms that they will offer a cooperating commission. So this is one thing that I'm glad you're bringing up, because there is so much talk with the NAR lawsuit that just got awarded to the plaintiff, that so when a seller contracts with their realtor to pay 6% real estate fee, and I'm saying 6% because that's our industry standard, in that contract, like in our listing contract, it says seller agrees to allow the broker to list this listing on the MLS and offer a cooperating broker commission. So basically, there, as a seller, you're asking myself and my broker to advertise this on the MLS, which is where 97% of all buyers work with a realtor and have a realtor contracted. So those realtors are getting that information first. So you're allowing me to say to another realtor, hey, I'm offering this for sale. If you want to bring a buyer, the seller's willing to work with you and your buyer and pay you a 3% commission, or fit half of that agreed commission, so that you bring your buyer into the house, right? If that buyer's agent isn't getting paid, what's the benefit of them bringing them into that house, right? That's the piece that I think sellers are losing, and they're forgetting that we do this cooperative marketing on the MLS. Otherwise, the only pool of buyers that seller has access to is my broker's buyers, not the entire MLS. The MLS here in Michigan, I think RealComp has like 11,000 subscribers or something. Like, imagine 11,000 realtors who have buyers who are able then to see your house for sale. So we offer that cooperative commission of 3%. That's how a buyer's agent gets paid. So I use the traditional buyer or the designated buyer agency form, where I represent a buyer independently of any other agent in my office, and then ask for a 3% commission. Then if the seller is offering a cooperating commission, that's credited to the buyer. So I get paid at
very possible, and probably most typical, that a buyer would not pay you directly.
100%. 100%. It comes out of the sale price of the property. It's not coming out of their pocket.
Make that clear, because I know a lot of people think they have to pay the realtor, and most of the time the seller's covering.
Correct. Now I will add this. I have had buyers say to me, listen, I want to increase the purchase price, as long as there's a caveat saying you get a full 3% commission, because the seller's agent wasn't able to negotiate a full 6%. So they're offering a partial percent. And my buyers have said, hey, we're willing to make up that difference because you did such an amazing job. So then their purchase price is a little higher, but then my commission's a little higher. So the net to the seller is still the same of what the seller would have wanted, which is fabulous, because buyers recognize how hard, when a buyer recognizes how hard their agent is advocating for them, it should be a no-brainer that they want to pay them, that they want to get paid.
Right.
Honestly.
Huge. We've used the raise a sale price to pay closing costs.
Yes.
Before, so the seller nets the same amount of money. So I actually have never heard of it in terms of real estate commissions. So that's pretty cool.
It is cool. It is cool. And when I have clients that recognize that value, it means a lot. It means a lot, especially in this world where everybody's always trying to get a deal and pay less money. I think that phrase, you get what you paid for, is still true. Mm-hmm. So interesting. I just want to add this last thing. I had somebody, she was ready to sign the listing papers. Another agent reached out because it had been a house that was on the market months before, and basically said they would sell the house at like 45% discount. Like I was asking for 6%. They were going to do it for 4.5%. I mean, it was crazy low, and I couldn't match it, and I wasn't willing to match it. And it was funny because she called me about 3 weeks later and said, I've called the agent, I've texted the agent, and they're not getting back to me. They're not answering my questions. Can you help me? And I said, well, this is what happens when you get a discounted realtor. So when sellers ask for a discount, what they have to remember is they're asking that realtor to not give them 100% of the service, because they're not willing to pay 100% of the fee. So that's something to remember, is that realtor has a thought in their head, well, I'm only making this much, so I'm not going to try as hard for them. So that phrase, you get what you paid for, is true.
And it's good that you're willing to say, I'm not willing to discount what I do for you
Right.
because you can't live with yourself that way.
Right.
And then you hold on to what your payment is.
Exactly.
So I couldn't see you not answering a phone call,
No.
because that's just not your personality. Well, thank you so much for doing this with me, and I'm excited to present our class when
Me
we're
too. I'm really
done with
excited.
all
It's
that.
teaching realtors how to navigate through divorce transaction is really, really critical. You know, as much as it is my niche, I also want to help people, because too many situations I've heard where coming out of a divorce, somebody says, I wish I would have known. So I'm really excited to be working with you and collaborating with you on that. And thank you so much for having me on. This has been
Yes,
fun.
it was fun. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. I'm Carri Goldring, and if you ever have any questions regarding mortgage, feel free to give me a call or send me a text message, 248-420-4524. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.